Software. Welcome back to another Hydroneer tutorial. I'm here today on request. Many people liked my tutorials, and if you still do like my tutorials I make for Hydroneer modding, please let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe, put a like up, react at least to say that you liked it or want to learn more. I want to know what you guys want to learn to mod or program for Hydroneer, so let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, without further ado, this video will be about modeling and making textures for a project. For example, you want to add a custom mesh for any of your items. Good example could be anything that you can think of, but let me just go to build. All these things are called meshes. They will line up light blue in your editor. Basically, they are 3D models with a texture layer on top of them that you can use inside your mods or worlds, whatever you wish for. So in my case, I use some building items, for example, to mod my own version. And in my IKEA mod, you can find these vault shelves. As shelves for projects in my store. Anyways, there are a lot of models here, and you can use these in your mod. You can adjust them for your mod, or you can export them and reuse them. So in this case, many people ask me, how do you find the correct spot, for example, for hooks or cables or anything like it? Well, as simple as it is, I went into Logic for this one, and I was taking a look at everything there is here. And there I found the Logic straight cables. Since many people want to make something unique themselves, you can simply export this one by right-clicking and then Asset Actions and then Export. And when you click on it, let me go to my empty disk, you can export it using FBX. Please use this one. It's the best one you can use for Blender in this moment. And click on Save. Then simply click Export and it's out of the program and into the other. So let me go to the folder, and there it is. There it is. That's the file. So let's open Blender and take a look into Blender itself. Blender is a nice tool. I always click on General, and then you can start with a cube, light and camera. I delete those because you do not need them. I simply click Import FBX. Go to the disk I just placed it on, if I can click, and simply import it. You will see this. You think, wait, that's not the cable. Well, this is the collision box that you're seeing. And if I remove that one, there is the cable. However, it's silver colored. Pretty weird, isn't it? Anyways, that's because there is a texture layer on it. If you go on the right of it, you have a little ball over here, and you can see there is one material being used for it. But this program doesn't know the texture. So it will blank it out basically, but it will show you that you're using a texture. So this is something that you can use to alter, for example, which texture you want to go where. I can use this exact mesh and recolor it entirely, part by part or layer by layer, whatever I wish for, in order to make a custom cable, for example. Custom cable look. Anyways, that's not something we are going to do today. I want to show you how to make something that hooks around it. Because this is the pivot point. It's basically the center of your grid. And that's what I wanted to tell you about it. The center of the grid is basically 0.5 from every direction inside a cube. Since Hydroneer is made out of cubes, at least the cubes are the grid that you build on, basically the center of that cube is basically the center of a cable. And that's the thing you need to make hooks, like conveyor belts, for example, or other types of hooks. Same for the pipes, by the way. It's very important to know that exactly the center point of the grid is the one you need in order to make hooks. Since we are not looking at hooks today, further, I want to show you what you can do to make your own model for example, an item to be used in game. So let's just delete this one for now, since we now know what a center of the world is. And so let's just add some simple meshes, like a cylinder. Let's make that one different. I misclicked, my bad. And let's increase the vertexes because I want to have it more smooth. I want to close down the radius like a stick. And the depth, lower it as well. Make it a little bit of a stick. It's way too big. Keep in mind, since everything is at a scale, it looks very large, but if you zoom in, it becomes smaller. And you need to know that too big is too big. You are not holding 1 meter inside your hand as a stick, so keep that in mind. So I always try to keep it as low as possible, while still trying to do my best on other things. And let me create a UV sphere, make it way smaller. Move it up. There we go. A little bit more ring, a little bit more segments. Making it more smooth, a little bit bigger. Ah, there we go. A little bit of a wand or something. So now we made a model. There are 2 ways to go. Many people just export it like this and then use the substance painter to color it basically on whatever you see and etc. etc. I am not like that. What I just click? Oh, I clicked on shading. So as simple as it is, I always join them together to make it one. And why I'm doing that is I want to make sure that we do not have glitches inside the UV mapping. Beside the fact that UV mapping is the most annoying thing you can think of. If there is one thing wrong, the textures will lay out wrongly on the mesh. But now they are joined, we have one more problem. And I can show you that when I get into here. There is a stick sticking inside this sphere. This is not something I want. Reason? It's all extra rendering and calculation that we do not want to do. So in this case I'm going to modifiers and I'm gonna do a remesh. This is something that most of the time glitches out, but you can adjust it to make it more detailed until you get whatever you want it to make. So in this case I'm trying to figure out what the best remesh is, although I have to say that it is very hard to get it all going like you wish for. There we go. Now it looks normal again, but what better, the thing in the middle is gone. See? I simply hit apply when I'm done. I just misclicked again. Let's undo that one. There we go. Click apply. And then it will apply the changes you made. And now the mesh is hollow. The bulbs is gone out of the head. And now you have one mesh that's hollow without little weird tokens inside the middle. There's only one problem. We have a lot of vertexes now. So the next thing I'm gonna do is using decimate. It sounds weird, but currently this mesh over here holds more than 3 million faces, which is way too big. So let's lower it at least to 0.1 for the starters. Let's see what 10% of these faces will do with the model. What decimate basically does is lower all the faces that it can find, trying to remove as much as possible without altering the model in at all. Keep in mind, changing things with a very big amount will freeze your blender for a long time. Keep in mind, this is a very dangerous one. If you do, keep in mind that it can freeze, and if it freezes, there is not much you can do about it to counteract it. Since it's millions of faces that it's gonna be calculating, you can wait for it to be done, and it can be a very long time. As you might have noticed, I just changed it to 10% remaining faces, and it's still doing its thing. until it's done lowering those millions back to thousands. And yes, Blender is still frozen. This is something that requires skill to get under your hands to do it smoothly. I just did it quickly to 0.1 right now. However, the bigger the change you make to the decimate, the longer it will take to recalculate all the faces that are in your model. And the bigger the model, the longer that it will take. Well, as you can see over here, we just did the decimate. It's completed now. And it went down from 3 million to 600,000. Before I continue on, I will click apply. Why I'm doing this is to save this change, since I do not see any weird changes to my model on screen. This is a good decimate. And I'm just going to repeat the process until I'm happy or satisfied with the amount of faces that it has. Keep in mind, this is my way of modeling. If you have another way or you think you know it better, keep it to yourself, please. I got attacked a lot by people saying that they know better and that they used to do it optimal and do whatever you want. I am not a pro here. I'm giving lessons to what I know that works for me. If you think you know better, make your own videos. I'm trying to do my best here to make content that learn people to make things, and please keep advisable that I'm trying to do the best I can to give you guys some information to work with. And if there are better ways to do things, sure, there are better ways to do things, but that's a thing that you need to learn yourself or find on the internet. There is more than enough information to optimize these type of processes. And I'm sure there is another way to make this one faster or better or without merging together these models. But I do not want to spend hours and hours remeshing it manually to do those things. So now the model is remeshed and decimated. I'm going to save it to be sure that I can return whenever something goes wrong. But if I do the decimate again, you can see that we're still on the same count. So if I lower this down to 0.5, I'm trying to bring it down even more. But this time you can see it went way faster than before. 0.2 maybe. Lower it even more. Do we get what we want? Yeah, it's even lower. 0.1 then. Most of the time the first decimate you do will take the most time. I cannot see any problem right now, so I'm gonna apply it. So that we're 61,000 faces. And if you want to know what a face is, if I press tab on my keyboard, you can see whatever I'm saying. Each of those lines that select a folder, like I'm currently clicking on different ones, each of them are faces. And as you can see, a remesh basically messes it up that all, and it creates thousands of these weird lines faces. And I'm trying to lower them a lot. So I'm gonna save again, and I'm gonna go to decimate again, and I'm gonna do the 0.1 again. See if I can lower it even more without messing up the model. Well, it looks very well done. Let me just try something else then. 3000, still no visual alteration. 0.1, is that something? Oh, now we're gonna see it. Look at the pole and the thing. So we are now too low because it's now altering the model. I'm going back up again. There we go. This is back almost normal. You can see some shifting. 4. Yeah. I think 0.3 is the max we can do here. Lowering it again, apply. And if I do tab now, you can see, hey, all those weird lines are mostly gone and they all triangulated, with exception of this bar over here. Yeah, that's the thing. If you make something smooth, it will draw a lot of lines, but I will keep it like this right now. just for the sake of time. As you can see over here, we now have the wand, but it's not textured, we do not have any UV mapping, we have nothing. So the first things first, what we are going to do is select this material button and click on the plus on the right side, then click new and then give it a name. For example, I call this one ball, and I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to this one rod. Now you can see two of these, but they are all both right, so I can set the base color to blue, for example, for the rod, and to green for the ball. You think, what do you do with this? Well, basically these are material layers as you can see them in Unreal Engine for the materials to put on there. So what I'm gonna do is on the right top of Blender, I'm gonna click on viewport shading, and you can see that everything is green. This is because it by default picks the first material index, and this is 0 and it's green. Everything is green. I'm gonna click the blue one, and I'm going to edit mode by pressing tab, or on the left top edit mode. Then I'm gonna click on face select, and then I'm gonna just drag around, rotate, shift. I'm holding shift on my keyboard and try to select everything from the rod itself. Trying not to miss anything, but I think I have it all. Can zoom in, but I think I have it all. I'm gonna make sure by just simply doing it again and again and again. And I simply click on the right to assign when I'm having blue selected. And now it's blue. The entire thing here is now blue. And I'm gonna get a close-up view, see if I missed anything. But as you can see, it's totally blue. Oh, there we go. One little line that's still green. And that's why I always choose two opposite colors when they are touching, to make sure that I'm not missing any small parts that are outlined. The less faces you have, by the way, the more easy this will become. So that's worth noticing. Most of the time they are very tiny and almost invisible at all, but still, it can be very annoying if you have to do it all on the last second. So, in this case, we now have a rod that exists out of two colors. And then the last thing we need to do is make a UV map. So, in this case, we need to select all, and then click on the UV tab over here and click on Smart UV Project. When I click and I click OK again, I can go to the UV Editing tab, and you can see on the left here our entire model pressed flat against the surface, and you can see every face that our model has. Since our model is very small, you see just a little ones of these. But since we just color coded all those, the program like Unreal knows how to paint it now. So the next thing we are going to do is firstly save and then export it as FBX file. And then call it, for example, empty wand, or anything you want to call it. So I just exported it as empty wand, and I'm going to close Blender. Empty wand is now here. You can see it right over here. And I'm going to start Substance Painter. Oh my god, it's hard to pronounce. This program is in trial mode available on the internet, or you can buy a license for it to use it. I find it pretty expensive myself. However, I found another key laying around, so I got to activate it happily. So click on New. Make sure this is an Unreal Engine 4 starter assets, and then click Select. Go to whatever model you make and click Open. Make sure the document resolution is 2048 and DirectX format and auto unwrap, those things. Keep it like it's here. Copy it over if you want to, and then click OK. And when you do, it starts loading up the model and the texture on the right. So on the left we see the model, like we made it in Blender. And on the right we see UV map that we also made in Blender. So you might think, okay, what now? Well, first we go to the texture settings, scroll a little bit down and click on Bake Mesh Maps. Then go to Curvature and change the setting to From Normal Map. And then click on Bake Selected Textures on the right bottom. What we're doing here is basically making sure that the shading and such is correct for using textures. Going back to the layers, we have two materials over here. We made those materials, by the way. We just colored our model to use two materials. And as you can see here, we have the two materials, two UV maps, as I will call them, because the one UV map you made in Blender gets split by the materials. Each material face, for example here, is what's the color. The ball was green, so everything that the ball contains is green over here, and the same thing the other way around. So now we go to materials and we can select base materials over here, but we can also go to the smart materials. There is a download inside the Hydroneer Discord that allows you to use this template. It's called the Hydroneer template. When you load it into your assets into the thing, you can also use it as layers. So I'm currently dragged it in as layer, and as you can see, it is pretty much styled like in Hydroneer. And yes, there are some white dots visible, those I miss with coloring. But yeah, normally you do it faster and without a video recorder running. So as you can see, I now have a stick that looks a bit of Hydroneer styled. When I go and click on the folder icon, we can see two layers over here. We have the base color, which is mostly darken version. And then when I click on the properties, I can scroll all the way down to base color and click on it. And now I can try to give it a nice little base color. That's brownish. I mean, I want to make some kind of stick, so wow, all brown is the right color. Do the same thing again for the surface wear. And then you have a stick. Hydroneer styled stick. Looking at the ball, we need to do the same. So click on the ball on the top, drag in the Hydroneer template, and now it's green. You can see the same wear and tear like the normal Hydroneer also adds to different objects. Depending on how you style things, they will look differently. In this case, since it's a ball with so many faces, the smudges will be like spread out across the ball. But if you use a square, for example, it will nicely outline the sides of the square with those wear and tear. Anyways, let's get a crazy color like light blue, for example. Let's make the base a little bit cyan colored, and the surface wear, let's make it light blue, as light as possible. And now we have a nice texturized skin. As you can see, this is Hydroneer styled. But if you do not like Hydroneer style and you want to make something unique, you can always use one of the other materials. For example, let me give it another try. Let's take fabric. Yeah, now we have a nice fabric sheet that almost looks like it's clothing. As you can see, you can make whatever you think is nice, and you can combine it whatever you like, and you can alter these looks. I can, for example, change the base color of this flannel to any other color I want to. I can even make it black or blue or light green or a little bit whatever I want to. Simply just look around and make whatever you think you like. So I can, for example, change the stick to creature flesh. Now it looks like some kind of stick of an arm of some or anything like it. Anyways, when you are done making these textures, simply click on File, Export Textures, and leave everything basically as it is here, and click on Export. When it's done, you can click Open Output Directory, and you select all these files. I always cut them and bring them to the folder where I made my model and paste them. We are basically done here in Substance Painter, so we can close it. You can save this project if you want to come back to it. But basically we are done making the model now for Hydroneer. Going into the game mods as such itself, we can go into the folder where we want the items to go. So let me just drag in all the textures and the model itself. So I have them selected right now. I simply drag them into this folder. It will start importing. I simply click import all and then clear, close. I always ignore those warnings because, well, I don't think it's very handy or needful. Then click save all to make sure they are all saved inside your project. Those asterisks are gone then directly. There are two things to note. Normal maps I never use and it doesn't affect my model as much. So in this case I always remove them because they take up space in the mod and it's very useless in the end. We cannot use these 4 textures because, well, we need materials for that one. So on the right click, material, and we can call it empty1 material 1, for example. Make sure not to use spaces. And when I copy this one, I can change it. It automatically takes the last digit and turns it up to 2. So if you ever want to make more materials in a row, you can copy and paste it. And if the last digit is a number, then dot character is a number, then it will alter it to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So let's open up the empty1 material. And let's go to the tutorial mod folder where the textures were. Drag in the base color one. The base color is the one that gives the color to the model. Drag the RGB to the base color input. As simple as this, base color to base color. Oh, hey, look, we have the clothing. But there is something missing over here. The occlusion. When you dragged it in, it is basically occlusion roughness metallic. And that's basically ARM. And when you looking at ARM, it's nothing near whatever you want to make it. So if you take a look here, R is occlusion. G will be roughness and B will be metallic. RGB ARM. Basically the conversion. This information is, by the way, also in a document stated out by our friendly guy H on Discord itself. Anyways, RGB ARM. ARM, RGB, ARM, yeah, basically it's a conversion method to remember. When you use both, it will gain its reflection, depth, etc. And you might think, what is this for weird glitching it does? Well, this is normal. Since you are using multiple layers in different parts of the UV mapping, the texture will be different on some parts of the model and other parts will be different. So when I click save right now, it will save up this texture, and I'm going to material 2 and do the same thing over. I'm dragging in the base color and I'm getting the occlusion, connecting the R to occlusion, the G to roughness, the B to metallic. And then we can see the flesh texture with a lot of glow on it, metallic, glossy. And that's because the texture here contains 3 colors normally. Red, green and blue. And it combines them. And when it combines them, the RGB will either tell it's using occlusion, or it's rough, or it's metallic. So in this case, there is some blue in there, which causes it to be metallic. And there is a lot of roughness in here. Yeah, basically the more roughness there is, the more reflective it becomes. And there we have the, it's explained when you hover your mouse over. It's basically self-shadowing of the texture. So these things are used to give it a little bit of a look. So when I save these ones, I have them over here. And when I click on the item itself, the model itself, you can see here in the program that there is another grid. You know the pivot I talked about in Blender? Well, this is basically the same grid. It's the middle of a cube. Your hand that's holding this item will be in the middle. So let me just grab it and click the empty wand material, and then material 2 as well. And as you can see, there we go. The model that we just made in Blender is now inside Unreal Editor with our own textures. There's one last thing that I want to explain. If you ever make something that people need to collide to, it uses simple collision. Normally, the program automatically creates a simple collision box, like currently visible. You can make it visible by selecting the simple collision, so you can see whatever collision is there with the model. If it is wrong and it isn't correct, go to the collision on the right side, and there you can see that the convex, that's this one over here, is the only thing over here that exists. When you delete this, there is no collision box anymore. And then you can go to the tab collision and add the box shape, for example, capsule, sphere, etc. to make your own collision box around your model. Do it correctly and it will all work. Don't do it and it will fall through the world. So keep that in mind. It needs a collision, otherwise it will fall through everything since it cannot collide with anything. Just sort of a heads up on this matter. Click save and then you're basically done. This item can now be used like any other item inside the game. Simply dragging it in as a mesh makes it a model that you cannot use, or make an item or anything close to it to use it as an item that you can use. A good example is my MKM mod. I have a meshes. I have the color wand design over here. Basically, it uses two textures. One texture is a texture that I altered from the normal wand, and the other I made manually with extra data to conclude coloring. And what is special about this color wand is that it's using a special, what do you call it? Special texture I designed. So I'm going into it right now. And that texture is a glow param that it uses instead of the normal texture that I have right here. So what it basically states is that the glow that I have will contain the base color of it, and then the other will map out the rest, making it look like this. This is converted to a param. As you can see, it's a parameter now, and I called it one glow. And that one is adjustable by the material instance of the item. So in this case, I'm going to the item itself. And basically what I've done, when you right click, it will get the color for somewhere and then create a dynamic material instance and alter its parameter, the one glow, to the color that's selected. This is a very advanced way to do it, but there are so many tutorials talking about making dynamic materials. So if you want to know more about that one, you can bestly search it on the Unreal forums. But what it basically does, it gets the static mesh of the model, then gets the texture layer, in this case it's 1, that's containing the variable, and then I will set the vector parameter to called one glow towards the value that I will provide, and it's linear color. So yeah, that's basically how you alter colors during the system, during the game basically. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully it's informative for the last 30 minutes, and yeah, well, hopefully you will have a lot of fun from it and allow you to make custom models like you wish for. Thank you all for watching. Leave a comment down below if you watched it and if you liked it, and even if you have suggestions for an upcoming video, or if you have ideas for me or anything else, leave them down below in the comments. Let me know that you liked it. Leave a like, thumbs up, alert, click the bell icon to be alerted from new uploads, and subscribe to my channel to follow it in your library. Thank you all for watching once again. See you later. Good luck. Welcome back to another